Welcome to the Buck Speaks podcast, episode 4. Today we have a very special guest. I mentioned in the last podcast that we're going to have her. This is Rohini, and I'm Kumar, your host for today. Rohini, I mean, if you can tell me a little bit about yourself and how you first came across Buck Speaks.
Okay. Thank you for having me here, Kumar. I have done my post graduation in food science and nutrition from University of Mysore. I have been working with corporates from past 1.5 decades. Right now, definitely in gut microbiome field, find it really interesting. So, a good question that you asked, how did I come across? Because this was just an upcoming field and we were not at all aware. I mean, I know from my circle that many of the nutritionists are not aware that there is something called as gut microbiome testing which is available, right? So even I was not aware of it, but in the previous organization where I worked, I came across a report, gut microbiome report, which actually caught my attention. It was very well, projected with the type of organisms which are missing, which are present, the pathogens and stuff. And then I came into the nutrition part of it. I thought, yes, I think some improvisation would be really required. It would be good if I could help in contributing to make the meal plan, much better. And that is how I came to know about Buck Speaks and I applied there. And then from then on, I have been working.
Thank you for being so kind on camera. I know you found the meal plans really poor and wanted more, wanted to make it better. Um,
Actually, the execution wise, it is really good in the sense those phase wise plans really work very well with the clients when I'm, explaining to them and they're following it. But the way it was put on the paper was not consumer friendly, is what I felt. And that is where I thought, making certain changes would be much more beneficial from the client's point of view.
uh, Over the last 2 or 3 podcasts, Dev and I have been talking about microbiome science as a whole, and about microorganisms, the technology, and all of that. From you, I wanted to understand the importance of nutrition with respect to the microbiome.
Okay. So in the past, when I have done counseling to a lot of the clients with some metabolic issues, there used to be always a point wherein we can do only so much. Okay, from the nutritionist perspective, where we give them a proper balanced diet and they follow it to some extent. But when it comes to their gut, healing their gut. Many of the clients have came back saying that I have taken so many probiotics now. I have taken, so many different products to heal my gut, but still have not seen any improvement. So what I have happened to realize now that the nutrition and the support that we give to improve the gut health, they go hand in hand. Yeah, it is. It's not like if you give just a nutrition, it helps the gut, or if you give only the supplement, it helps the gut. So give a proper supplement. At the same time, ensure that you give the right kind of nutrition support for the probiotics to grow in the gut. That actually makes a lot of difference. And in my experience, I have seen increasing the food which are rich in polyphenols. The more colors you add to the plate, the more diversity you add to your diet, it automatically helps in improving the gut health. And I feel that nutrition is one of the major pillars to improve the gut health in the long run. And I felt that improving the nutrition definitely has a large role to play with the respect to the gut health.
Um, any specific case that you can talk about?
Yes, actually, there was a very interesting case which I recently encountered. It is about a desperate mother who came to us to get a gut microbiome test. Desperate because her daughter was having severe acidity and gastric issues, and because of that, she was having headaches. She also had a lot of hormonal imbalance. And another concern the mother had was the daughter was supposed to travel abroad for further studies. And we had just 3 months of time to actually understand what was the problem and try to get a solution for it. So they had visited a lot of doctors, they did a lot of tests, but they could not come up with a proper answer to her problems. So then we had to sit with the mother. We had to understand what kind of lifestyle the daughter is having, what type of food habits she is having, and then chart out a plan. Okay, did a gut microbiome test for her for us to understand which were the missing organisms, which were the pathogens present, And then based on that, we created a very personalized plan for her. So we educated the daughter, made her understand which are the lifestyle factors which is contributing to her symptoms, and then we helped her to stick to the plan, and that is when we started seeing a lot of results. But one thing which I was really fascinated with is the amount of efforts the mother put in. So the kind of plates that she had, it was such a colorful plate. She used to give it to her daughter. She followed our plan to the T. So exact proportion of carbs, good proportion of proteins, a lot of variety on the plate. And it used to be such a balanced meal. Even the daughter started enjoying more home cooked food rather than going out to eat. She used to invite her friends over, and they used to have a small kind of home party at home, because she was going away. All friends are like, you come to this restaurant, that restaurant, we will go and enjoy before you leave. And she's like, no, no, you all come home. My mother cooks very great food. You come and enjoy. And that was a kind of, scenario. But really, the mother taught me consistency, and, the amount of hard work you put in to create good home meals can go a long way, in improving the family, the health of the family. And both mother and daughter combination, actually, they made sure that the daughter overcame the symptoms that she had. Her heartburn came down. She was taking a lot of medications for acidity and for headache, and all those medications stopped. Her nutrition status improved. And she had a lot of hair fall issues which came down again. So that was an excellent case, and hats off to the mother who put in so much of efforts for the daughter.
Awesome. So this only shows that food and nutrition is the remedy for most things.
Absolutely, that is true. Kumar, before I came in, I know you were speaking to a lot of customers, discussing the report with them. So, how was your experience? Was there anything specific, or
I see. I would get into the calls wanting to explain the science behind the microbiome. So I'm a molecular biologist, a systems biologist by training and by profession. So I understand that world really well. I understand which microbes break down idli, what are the subnutrients that happen, which other microbes will eat it. So it's almost at the molecular nutrition level that I have is my understanding. But when I'm talking to clients, I mean they would find the conversations interesting and hence start asking me a lot of questions about how to improve their health to nutrition. I have also received many clients have given their blood reports and asked me to compare that with the gut microbiome report and come up with possible suggestions. Almost felt like a quack at some points of time. But there's one or two cases that are very vivid in my head, and it showed me the power of the microbiome. There was one case where this person was, suddenly healthy otherwise and all of that, but suddenly got, I think it was an upset stomach or something like that that led him to do the test. Okay, otherwise he was healthy, and we were seeing a lot of unique pathogens in his gut, and we had to go back and forth, trying to figure out what where these pathogens could be coming from. I mean, we try to understand why this is that. Uh, some of the brilliant research that happened in the company at that point of time, what they did was they dug into the data deep to only find out that these pathogens are usually present in raw fish.
Oh, okay.
So when this person every weekend used to go somewhere and fish, I think just outside Bangalore, and eat a raw fish from there. I hope the Vartur lake effluents are not going through, but he used to eat raw fish, and I think that's how the pathogens were. And he used to do this consistently every weekend, so that's how the pathogens were entering his gut. So that was one thing, but that's more from a molecular nutrition kind of a sense. The other one that was startling was broccoli, and there was this client who was actually of not of Indian origin. Uh, she was traveling a lot, visiting India, visiting Hong Kong, Australia, multiple countries. I think 10 countries in a month or something like that. I mean, very very busy. She thought that broccoli was a healthy food But the problem was she kept eating it for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, repeating the same kind of vegetables over and over again. And this was the first report I ever got where I saw broccoli not recommended in any of the phases. And I was like, I like broccoli. I think it's green, and I thought it was healthy, and that's when I went back and read a little bit about nutrition and all of them, and realized although we say vegetables are healthy, yeah, all of that. Repeating it over and over again is the problem. Having one thing over and over again is a problem. Getting diversity, like you mentioned, colorful plates, having diversity in our vegetables, eating different things, eating different vegetables, fruits, grains. I think makes a whole lot of a difference.
That is absolutely true. Which reminds me of another case actually. So this person, he is an Indian. His family was here in India, but after the son got married, he went off to UK. And this person is a single parent, and he wanted to stay with his son and daughter-in-law for some time. But he realized that when he went there, he ended up with a lot of gastric issues, a lot of bloating and acid reflux. Yeah, he felt got intolerant to many foods, and he wanted to get a gut microbiome test done. He came to India for a short period of time to get the test done. He said he was suffering from quite a number of years, and again there was no answer. Nobody could give him solution to this problem. So when he got the gut test done, we realized that there were a lot of species which are missing, the probiotics which were missing from his gut. He had no pathogen overgrowth, but there are a lot of probiotics missing. Maybe because he was going to and fro from abroad to India, the change in the type of food or the change in the weather conditions and stuff has changed his microbiome, and he had not done much about it. So when we gave him a plan, we gave him the options which are present in UK. We made a food list which is more local to their cuisine, and then we gave him a plan, what kind of diet can be followed using those foods. And that helped him a lot, because he then was able to change his food habits from being completely Indian and trying avoiding the foods because he was not able to incorporate them in his Indian cuisine, to a little more of their sort of diet, incorporating certain vegetables which are available there and not completely avoiding them. And his gut health improved because he was adding diversity now. We gave him certain options and alternatives of how to add certain vegetables to his diet. It built his microbiome better. And he actually went to a South Indian restaurant and had a proper banana leaf meal without falling sick or having a upset tummy. And that made him really happy. He came back to us saying that after so many years, I was able to digest a proper South Indian meal and in UK. And that made him really very, very happy. So yes, diversity matters a lot. And when you change the place, right? You're from your place of origin to another country, you generally get lost because you don't know how to use the foods which are available there. Automatically, diversity comes down, right? You are eating very selective foods. So a little help there, a little more suggestion, some push here and there, some encouragement goes a long way in helping a lot of clients in this way.
Oh, this reminds me. One of the feedback that we got was that a few Indians living in the US and the UK came back and said that microbiome tests are available there also, but yours is the only one which tells us what to do with dal and all the Indian foods and pulses. So
Yes, absolutely. Because they do need some direction.
correct.
Otherwise, they are completely lost. They don't know how to use asparagus. They know how to use the ridge guard here or the bottle guard here, but they are completely at loss when it comes to, such foreign vegetables. So, yes, that definitely makes a difference. It helps. There is one more case I want to discuss. This is a very, very different case. It is a case of a client who had DOPA responsive dystonia. So what happens is there is this dopamine neurotransmitter which is naturally synthesized in our body, and it helps with a lot of motor movements, lot of cognitive abilities, and with behavior. So in this particular client, she had a deficiency, or she had a mutation, genetic mutation, because of which the dopamine synthesis was not happening naturally. And nobody was able to diagnose her condition initially. She got it, the disease was present, more expressive during her teenage time. So it took some time for the doctor to actually identify what is the problem there. Okay, so a very interesting aspect of this disease was, it was having a diurnal variation. That means in the morning, her movement and all, everything was fine. She was active. She was able to do her day to day activities and stuff. But as the day progresses, the dopamine synthesis used to stop. And by evening, later in the evening, she used to have a lot of tremors in her limbs, which did not allow her to do any work. And the only thing she could do was lie down. And that made her very dejected. She was completely down. Actually, even the doctors told her that she can't get married, she can't have kids. And she fought against all odds, got a proper diagnosis done, took the medications. She is now married and is a mother of two healthy children. So I mean, it also shows that the resilience, or your mind, if it is strong enough to try to go ahead, push against all odds, and try to do the impossible, your body also responds to it. So here the gut brain axis, I think, plays a very important role. So if your gut is good, then automatically you will think positive, right? And that positive thinking can in fact have a positive effect on your body, helps it to heal. Yeah, what would be your thoughts on this? Yeah.
I mean, the gut brain axis is such a strong axis and it's bidirectional. If the gut is good, the brain is working well, and if the brain is good, the gut works well, and vice versa. I mean, if the gut is bad, the brain does not work well, and if you're feeling depressed or anxious, the gut is also not functioning as good. And I mean, there are so many things that you can do it with the you can see with the gut brain axis. From things as simple as craving for food, to complicated diseases like autism, Parkinson's, and all of that. It's I keep telling everybody, if you're craving for a particular kind of food, it's most probably a bacteria in your gut signaling to your brain saying that feed me that.
Oh.
Okay. So one of the secrets about diets, when I tell people, you should try and eat a variety of vegetables and all of that. Just do it for 2-3 weeks, and after that you can stop. You can go back to your diet. I know at the back of my head that if they do it for 2-3 weeks, their gut will change and their signal going to the brain will change, and they'll want to eat more vegetables.
Absolutely. That's just so true, because I've seen the same experience with my clients also. When there are some people who are so attached to taking sugars, and they will add 2 to 3 teaspoons of sugar in a small cup of coffee. And when they give up, or at least reduce the amount of sugars, they cannot go back to that original amount at all. So their body completely rejects it, and they cannot eat anything sweet. And yes, I think that might be because of the changes in the gut microbiome again, right? Which propels them to eat things in a balanced amount, whatever is required by the gut. So yes, that works really beautifully.
Talking about sugar, we should also talk about sugar fermentation. And I think one of your favorite topics about
Absolutely.
fermented foods. We should do like an entire episode on fermented food. I don't think one episode would do any justice.
Yes.
But your thoughts on fermented food?
This is something which I discovered after I joined here, because earlier for me the fermented food were basically idli and dosa. We always used to feel fermented foods means that, or the curds that we consume. But later on, as I progressed in this field, I realized that all these products will give you only maybe certain combination of certain species. But if you want to again add more diversity or more varied species in your gut, it is better to have different kinds of fermented foods. So that is when I started exploring. I started making ginger ale at home. I started making fruit sodas at home. So pickles my mother used to make, and this time I said I will make and I'll give it to you. So I made homemade pickles also. So these are the different things I have tried, and I have seen that slowly my family, my kids, they seem to like the fermented beverages more than the commercial ones, and I'm very happy about that.
Kudos to you.
So they seem to like that fizz. And they know that it is not very sugary, but they still feel like drinking it. And they are very happy to show it to their friends also, that they are drinking something which none of them would have tasted before. So, yes, fermented foods definitely are good. And if you make at home, you definitely get better with it, and you add more diversity to your gut.
Great, Rohini. I mean, thank you so much for making time and coming and spending time over here. I must tell you, it was with great difficulty I pulled Rohini to come and talk to us. I promise that we'll get her in to do a full session on fermented foods and nutrition in general.
Definitely, Kumar. So, with this one last line,
Huh?
yes, so I always used to think that food is an emotion. People are more connected with the food,
Mm.
but with the experiences that I have had, I have realized that not the food, but a proper bowel moment every day is the real emotion, because that is the wet and that is what sets the tone for the day. It makes you more energetic. It makes you more responsive to the work that you are doing. So yes, a person who has a proper bowel moment is the most happiest person.
Great, Rohini. And with that, we wrap this episode. Looking forward to speaking to someone interesting next week. See you.
Thank you.